Nimesafiri kwa sababu moja kuu, kwa sababu ambayo mimi na wewe tunaiamini kwamba nchi hii yetu inaweza kuwa bora zaidi. Na wakati ni sasa. Huu ndio wakati wa kuiunda na kuijenga upya nchi yetu. Mbona tumekuja hapa Nakuru? Tumekuja Nakuru kwa sababu Nakuru ni mahali maalum, tena mwafaka kwa mkutano kama huu. Nakuru ni kama jungu la mikutano ya safari zetu, ndoto zetu, mawazo yetu, hata matumaini yetu, hisia zetu, uchumi wetu, machozi yetu, ushindi wetu, yote inakutana hapa Nakuru. Nakuru ndio katikati ya nchi. Nakuru ni roho ya Kenya. Tumewahi kuona mivuto na wasiwasi. Mivuto na wasiwasi ambayo huleta hali ngumu kwa maisha, chuki na fitina, uhasama baina ya wananchi. Looking at Nakuru in many ways, we see ourselves as Kenyans. It is like a small portrait of a larger picture. In 1963, we became an independent country. After years of a bloody struggle, we earned the right to govern ourselves. We pay our collective tribute to the huge sacrifices that the freedom fighters made to give us a future. In that year, the world was required to recognize a new state, a new nation, with a new national anthem and a new coat of arms, a new government under a new leader. Every Friday for 5 years, as a primary school pupil, in my school in Riakanau in Embu County, we hoisted the Union Jack and sang God Save the Queen. In 1963, we began the journey of determining who we are and what it would mean to be a Kenyan. We stand here today to pay special tribute to Hayati Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who here in Nakuru proclaimed forgiveness and reconciliation to the white settler community so as to enable the country to move forward. We remember the Kapenguria Six. We pay tribute to the late Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Honorable Joseph and Sheila Murumbi, whose remains I laid to rest in City Park many years ago next to the grave of Pio Gama Pinto. The Honorable Ronald Gala, the late Masinda Muliro, the late Bishop Henry Okulu, the late Alexander Muge, Archbishop Digi Mwananzeki, Honorable Kenneth Matiba, Professor Wangari Maathai, and many others who have fought gallantly for what they believed in. These were stars in a galaxy of heroes and heroines who lit our path in the deep valley of gloom and darkness. We recognize with gratitude the leadership of Mzee Daniel Arap Moi and our coalition partners, President Mwai Kibaki and Prime Minister Raila Odinga, for all that they have done, not least in expanding education and developing our infrastructure. However, the biggest challenge we ever face are not those that are brought upon us by other people, rather those challenges that we bring upon ourselves. Unfortunately, we have played the blame game with these challenges. We have blamed the weather for our hunger. We have blamed Her Majesty's government, our former colonial master, for our divisions. We have blamed our development partners for our economic failures. We have blamed each other for clashes, for wastage, for corruption. In short, we have refused to take responsibility for our failures and our mistakes. We have supported leaders who did not facilitate growth. We supported them because they were an extension of what we have become, a self-centered, self-serving, self-destructive people out of touch with ourselves and unwilling to admit it. But you and I know that this is not the whole picture. We have our great athletes and academics who have been recognized around the world. We have been resilient in difficult times. We have, as a people, stood in queues for long hours to vote, even when we knew the playing field was anything but even. We have had brave individuals in politics, in civil society, in the religious sector, in the private sector, who made the choice to move away from the herd. They summoned us to imagine a new Kenya. We have witnessed ordinary Kenyans walking up every day and going quietly and faithfully about their work. Students, teachers, hairdressers, matatu drivers, doctors, farmers, business people, house helps, watchmen, school children, managers and their employees, each of them participating in a society they still believe in. And of course, we have seen the promulgation of a new constitution, marking our collective desire to draw the line on sand and move forward as a people. In spite of our unfulfilled desires and our fractured past, we stand at the brink of history yet again as we face a critical election this coming year. From this point in our history, I say to you, it is time, wakati umefika, ni sasa. It is time for change. It is time to think differently. It is time to do things differently. It is time to face who we are and what we have become. It is time to face each other at old enemy lines and ask ourselves who drew these lines. It is time to call Kenya our country and mean it. It is time to say what we mean and mean what we say. It is time to cross the lines of hatred, of suspicion, of tribe, of age, of wealth and entitlement. It is time to say no to divisive, retrogressive thinking. It is time to say no to those who divide us for self-gain. It is time to say no to impunity. It is time to say no to corruption. It is time to say no to wastage. It is time. The time has come to define ourselves around truth. It is time to define ourselves around justice and human rights. It is time to define ourselves around a united future. It is time to define ourselves around the new constitution. It is time to shake off the burden of degrading and self-serving politics. It is time to return to dignity. It is time to bring back respect, decency, civility, and integrity in our political culture, in our public institutions, and also in our lives. It is time. It is as if we have been spectators of a bad team playing a bad game. It is time to take responsibility and fix the game. It is time to get a new team, a winning team. It is time to hire a new credible manager. It is time. Wakenya wenzangu, wakati ni sasa. And this is why I stand here before you today to announce my candidacy for President of the Republic of Kenya. Fellow Kenyans, it is time to change the culture of our politics, the culture of leadership. It is time to say firmly no to those who wrongly imagine that government belongs to them and them only. It is time to fix leadership. It is time to save government from government. It is time to reclaim our politics, our government, our country, our lives. It is time to determine our destiny. It is time. And maybe I need to say why I'm here today. A lot of who I am is founded in my faith, my studies, my experiences, the lessons that I learned from my parents, my mentors along the way. As you may know, I served in the church for many years. In 1985, 6 years into my pastoral ministry, I had to come face to face with the question of my Christian faith as it related to the challenges of social justice. My reading and reflections put me on a path from which I have never looked back. For the next 8 years, I sought to engage the Christian mind and to mobilize the consciences of men and women of goodwill from the pulpit of the Nairobi Baptist Church. From 1993 to 2007, I served as General Secretary of the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Our role in national advocacy led us to deal with issues in every part of this country, such as clashes. We saw member churches burying people from October 1991, when the clashes erupted in Mitaitei Farm in Nandi District, until 2007. We buried enough people. What does one need to change one's thinking? Our time at NCCK, as I worked along with other like-minded institutions in Ufungamano Initiative for the review of the Constitution, an initiative that I was privileged to chair. The last 3 years have been taken up in heavy lifting work in Gashoka, as I have sought to keep my promise to the people who were gracious enough to believe in me, and I thank them again. I have also been involved in 2 committees of Parliament, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and the Lands and Natural Resources Committee, which I chair. It is important to stress that much of Parliament work actually happens in committees. I have done a lot of listening and reflection. I have observed the institution of government from inside for the last 3.5 years. I am deeply burdened about the poor state of our government and the poorer state of our people. It was in this process that I felt constrained to make the decision to vie for the presidency. I see the presidency not as an end in itself, but as a means to an end. And that end is a more just and sustainable society, my friends. I think it's time. It is time to believe that all this and more can be done. It is time to say it can be done. It is time to sing it can be done. It is time to have the courage to say that it can be done. It is time to have the courage to learn. It is time to admit that we have hurt each other. It is time to have the courage to reach out and to serve one another. Wakenya wenzangu, we have a long way to go. And in many ways our past is dark with hatred and fear and anger. Our past is still dark with betrayal and broken promises. As we look ahead, it may seem impossible to do the things that we need to do, but it can be done, and it is time. It is time to light the candle of forgiveness. It is time to light the candle of mercy. It is time to light the candle of our future, my brothers, my sisters. It is time. Safari ndefu ya kuiunda na kuijenga upya nchi yetu pendwa ni lazima ianze. Kila mzee, kila mama, kila kijana, sisi zote twafaa kuchukua fursa hii. Wakati ni sasa. Asanteni sana. Mungu awabariki. Kaeni la heri.